Oh, hey, what's up? Did you know that ducks were first domesticated by the Chinese around 4,000 years ago? Since then, they have become the most popular meat in China, and even in the US alone, we serve over 26 million ducks per year. Duck is high in quality protein, and it also offers a wide array of amino acids. And amino acids are the omega-3s we talked about last episode. The good thing about duck is it contains all three. Duck also contains generous amounts of iron, phosphorus, zinc, and copper. It is considered poultry, but it is also considered a red meat. Today we'll be making a Szechuan seared duck breast with orange butter sauce and duck fat roasted sweet potatoes and braised napa cabbage. Alright, first thing we want to do is we want to start our orange sauce. We're going to reduce some wine with a little orange juice down, so that's going to take the longest time, and we want to take our sweet time with that, and I'll get into that in a second. So what we're going to do, take about a tablespoon of butter over to our pan over here. And then we're going to add in about 2 shallots that are sliced and about 1 large clove of garlic that's sliced. Season a little salt and pepper. We're going to want to caramelize some onions too. This is going to be our garnish. I didn't tell you anything about this in the beginning, but surprise, here we go. What we're going to want to do, get a pan on nice and low over here. Get a little olive oil. We'll cook these onions on low for as long as we can. Get that release of the sugar, get a nice color, really sweet. So we got our veg here at about a medium heat. We're going to saute about 5 minutes, and then we're going to deglaze with some wine. Normally I use white. Today we have some Prince Michel Rosé we'll be using. And then we'll also be using some fresh squeezed orange juice. Preheat your oven at 420 degrees. Alright, so we've been cooking these shallots and garlic for about 5 minutes now. And as you can see, it's starting to get a little translucent, starting to change colors. What we're going to do now, we're just going to add about half a cup of rosé wine. And about 3/4 cups of fresh squeezed navel orange juice. What we're going to do is we're going to let this reduce down on low for about 10 minutes. And then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so now we have our sauce reducing here. We got our onions caramelizing. We're going to get a pan at about medium-high heat, and we're going to sear our sweet potatoes in duck fat before we put them in the oven. So let's get back to this sauce here. When you're making a reduction like this, it's key to bring it down nice and slow, because if you try to reduce it real fast, some of those elements might get a little bitter on you. And plus, when we add the butter, it's going to hold it better. The slower you reduce it down, the tighter it gets, and the more it's going to hold that butter and it won't split on you. So that's what's going on here. So what we're going to do, we're going to add a couple spoons, maybe about a tablespoon of duck fat. And I think I'm going to tell you this, don't eat duck fat all the time because it's not healthy if you eat it a lot, but it is healthy to have a well-balanced diet with duck in it. So don't add too much. But the good thing about duck fat is it doesn't permeate the product like any other fat does. So you get a crispier sear on the product you're using in it. So we got our pan in medium-high heat. We have some sweet potato wedges here. Just gonna place them in. Then we'll just hit it with a little salt and pepper. So we got our potatoes searing in the duck fat right now. So now we're going to prepare our duck breast. So far I have scored the fat, which is key because it's going to help render a lot of that fat off of there. Plus it's going to help you with the cook. I've seasoned a little bit already, but what we want to do is we want to season the meat side only. If we season the fat side, we're going to be losing a lot of that seasoning off into the pan. What we're going to do, we're going to take a little Szechuan seasoning. And this has got Szechuan peppercorns, ginger, little garlic, black pepper. It's really good, really flavorful. So just give a generous helping of this. And we're going to let that sit. Now what we're going to do, so we're going to come over here. These have been searing about 5 minutes now. We're just going to flip them over. Give them a little sear for a few more minutes on the other side. And we'll transfer them to a baking sheet. Throw them in the oven. So once we flip them, we're going to season the other side too. Alright, so now we've seared both sides of these potatoes about 5 minutes. You see they're starting to brown up a little bit, which is right where we want to be. So we're just going to cut our heat. So they're about seared. What we're going to do, just hit it with a little olive oil. Roast that in our 420-degree oven. Check in about 10 minutes. Alright, so as you can see, we got our onions still low in the back here. It's starting to darken in color a little bit. It'll probably be ready when we're done. And also here on our sauce, we're just about reduced by half, which means we're almost ready to take it off. So we're going to reduce that down for another couple minutes. We'll take it off, strain it, and then we'll wait to the end when the duck is done, and then we'll add our butter. So what we want to do here, get a pan, skillet at a good medium heat. And what we're going to do is we're just going to put the duck breast in, just dry because that duck fat is going to render off. So we got our duck in the pan, good medium heat. We're going to let it sit fat side down for 8 minutes. And then we're going to flip it and we're going to finish it in the oven. Alright, so our timer for the potatoes is going off, so we'll pull them out and see what's happening. Oh yeah. Those feel nice and done. So we're just going to go ahead and set them to the side over here, save them for Play-Doh. We've got our duck breast seared. We're at about 8 minutes, about a medium-low heat. Flip them over. We'll throw them in the oven at 420, and we'll set our timer for 10 minutes, and we'll check our temp at then. The thing about duck, it's a red meat, so there's going to be carryover cooking. So we can pull it out at about 115, and it's going to end up, after we let it rest for 10 minutes, it's going to be about a mid-rare. But we're going to take it to about 120 so we can get a good medium well after we let it rest. So we got our duck in the oven. We got about 6 more minutes left. What we're going to want to do, get a good nice pan, about a medium heat. Just add a little olive oil. What we have here, I have about 7 leaves of napa cabbage. I've rinsed and cut into about inch strips. So let's add that in. Hit it with a little salt and pepper. a nice stir. Then we'll saute that about medium-high heat for a couple minutes. Then we'll hit it with some chicken stock to finish the cooking. Alright, so our moisture is starting to leach out of this cabbage. What we're going to do now is take some chicken stock, just cover, and we'll cook that down for about 4 minutes. Alright, so our timer went off at 8 minutes. I temp these. We're sitting at about 130, so we're going to be a good mid-well. And let them rest. We're just going to pull them over here to a plate, set them off to the side. So at this point, we got our chicken reducing and our cabbage back here. We're going to put our sauce back on at about a medium heat just to get it reducing. At this point, this is what you're looking at. We've strained out the onions, we've strained out the shallots. So this is about where we want to be. We'll just cut it down to low, because you don't want to get it too hot. We're adding butter to this. I mean, you could easily just cut it off and it would be better for you, but we just want to get it warm enough. We'll mount that butter in there, it'll emulsify, and that'll be done for our sauce. So what I got over here is I got about 3 tablespoons of just some whole unsalted butter. We'll do just a little bit at a time. So as you can see, it's starting to accept it. That means we'll just add a little more butter. So as you can see, I have all the butter whisked in there, and this is going to be our sauce. Alright, as you can see, this cabbage is starting to cook. We are about ready for plate up. Alright, here we have Szechuan seared duck breasts with duck fat roasted sweet potatoes, braised napa cabbage, and an orange butter sauce garnished with caramelized onions.